Back in my day, Snuffleupagus was just a figment of Big Bird's imagination. Or was he? He'd appear out of nowhere to hang with Bird in his nest next to the basketball court. They'd shoot the shit, talk about manners or whatever letters or numbers happened to be popular at the time. Then a human would come ambling by, and like magic, he'd pull a dungeon master and disappear into thin air. Not Bob, Maria, Louise, Gordon, not even Mr. Looper would ever see him. Big Bird would swear to his human counterparts that not only did his pachyderm friend exist, but that he did standing at that exact spot a mere seconds prior to their arrival. They usually acted like they believed him, of course, because the folks in that neighborhood were stand-up people for the most part. But even as a kid, I highly suspected the adults were just humoring him. But who knows? I wonder if the people and puppets who lived on Sesame Street thought Big Bird was crazy. Or hallucinating, maybe? It was the 70s, and there was some serious psychedelic shit going on in those early episodes. And without old Snuffy to back up his stories, poor Big Bird could do nothing to refute those hurtful assumptions. Some friend he was. A few years later, Snuffleupagus became a regular staple of the show. Suddenly, with no explanation, none that I'm aware of at least, everyone could see him. Maybe Big Bird finally got smart and just stopped turning his back to Snuffy when others came along. Either way, our yellow friend was royally shafted and never got his I told you so moment. As far as I know, the whole imaginary friend thing was never addressed, and even more important, no apologies were ever issued to Big Bird by the community of doubting Thomases. I mean, what kind of crap is that? I'm not sure if he's still around now, but back in my day, Snuffleupagus was just a figment of Big Bird's imagination. Or was he? Chew on that, conspiracy theorists. Back in my day, a kid had to earn his porn. Procuring it was a full-time job for some of us. And it was hard work, no pun intended. I think of the countless hours spent trolling the woods, looking behind the bushes that surrounded our elementary school, and in and around the dumpsters behind strip malls. 99 out of 100 times we'd find nothing, but that 1% chance was enough to keep us going. Printed pornography was a profitable business in those days, and there was certainly no dearth of skin mags. There was Playboy, High Society, Swank, Jugs, Penthouse, Hustler, Gent Club, and Screw. And I guess perversion was not something that was limited to Americans, as there were several publications with French names as well. There was Chic, Cherie, and Oui, or Chick, Cherry, and Howie, as my friends and I mispronounced them. A kid could get a real feeling of accomplishment in that rare moment when the hard work paid off, and a Hustler mag that someone had carefully stashed away between the cinder blocks behind the Little League snack bar was discovered. I imagine that's how James Marshall felt at Sutter's Mill in 1848. My friends and I would thumb through those nasty pages, carefully studying every twisted and glorious detail. Even at that young age, we knew that we liked what we saw, and we knew that we were doing something that we weren't supposed to be doing, which made it all the sweeter. When we finally finished pouring through the magazine, and all deposits were safe and sound in our mental banks, we were stuck with the dilemma of what to do with our newfound treasure. Clearly, putting it back where we found it was not an option. That would be like a squirrel unearthing a nut and then burying it in the exact same spot where he found it. But we wouldn't dare bring it inside the house. Strangely, the thought of stuffing a used nudie mag down our pants to smuggle into our homes wasn't disgusting enough to deter us. It was the possibility of getting caught that kept us from doing it. So we'd wrap it in plastic to protect it from the elements, then stash it away somewhere outside that was close enough for easy access, but far enough away from our homes to absolve us of any suspicion if a parent or any adult should happen to stumble across it. We'd find what we imagined was a perfect hiding spot, only to discover upon the next visit that someone else had swiped it, forcing us to start the whole hunting process over again in a vicious cycle. And don't even get me started on X-rated VHS tapes, and all the stars that needed to be aligned in order to create the unique synergy that even allowed for the rare viewing opportunity. Nowadays, a person can access it anywhere at any time, but back in my day, a kid had to earn his porn. No wonder this new generation has such a sense of entitlement. Back in my day, we used to have cranky old people who would constantly bitch and moan about how much easier we had it than they did. No matter how much progress we had made as a society, it was never good enough for them. If they had their way, we'd set the world back by half a century at least. I mean, were they ever young?